everyone. Today's video is all about I-cord. This video is inspired by my latest free holiday pattern, which is a pattern for two different types of garland and these icicles, all made using I-cord. So today specifically, I'm going to be showing you how to make two kinds of I-cord, which is a regular and a spiral. And I'm also just going to be talking about I-cord a little bit. And you will find a link to that free holiday garland and icicle pattern in the description box down below. The yarn I am using today is Hobby Yarns Flash It. This is the yarn that I used for all of these projects. As you can see, it is shimmery and shiny and perfect for the holidays. So I-cord, this is actually a very simple stitch, but it is more diverse than I think people sometimes realize. So in order to make an I-cord, basically what you need is yarn and either two double-pointed needles or one circular needle. It can be any length, but to save your sanity, I recommend a short circular needle. You can knit an I-cord on a straight needle, but it is much easier and less tedious to do it using DPNs or a circular needle. So this is a very basic I-cord. This is a 3-stitch I-cord. A 3-stitch I-cord is probably the most common because it makes a very nice round cord. However, you can actually use any number of stitches. And what happens when you use larger numbers of stitches is that your I-cord is more flat, but you can see it still has, some substance. It's still a bit 3D, but it is not nice and round, like here at the bottom, nice and round, but here at the top where we get up to about 7 stitches, it is flatter. So the number of stitches you use is really just going to depend on your project and your preference. So let's get into how to just do a basic I-cord. So for your basic 3-stitch I-cord, you are going to cast on 3 stitches onto your double-pointed needle or your circular needle. And you are just going to knit those stitches back and forth with one difference. So you can see right now, here are my stitches. My working yarn is coming from the last stitch. So it would be like this. What I'm going to do is slide my stitches back to the top. Then I'm going to pull that working yarn across the back and up to the top of the needle. And I'm going to knit with it. And the key to a good I-cord is to make sure this first stitch, that you're pulling that yarn across the back very tightly, and make sure this first stitch is nice and tight by giving it a nice tug after you've knitted and are starting to work the second stitch. So I'm going to work all 3. And then here's my working yarn on the last stitch. Again, I'm going to slide my stitches back to the top of the needle. And I'm just going to do the same thing. And you're just going to do this over and over again until you have a cord that is as long as you want. And that is really it. Just the 3 stitches over and over again, sliding from one end to the other. You're never turning your work. Now, as I said, you can do this on a straight needle. What you have to do for that is, let's say you have worked this on a straight needle, and you can't just slide the stitches to the opposite end because it's not pointed. There's a stopper there. You would actually just slip the stitches back to another needle, making sure that you've still got your working yarn coming from the last stitch, and do it that way. But as I said, it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot easier to just keep using a DPNs or a circular needle for this. So that is your basic I-cord. But you can really do a lot with this. So in order to make these icicles, for example, which I do realize when laying this way maybe don't look so much like icicles, you're going to increase. And you do that just the way you would with any other project. So let's say, and this is also the technique that is used in my garland to make the, what I want to call beads. It's just increasing and decreasing. So let's say I've got 3. I'm going to go in and knit the first stitch, tighten it up. Now I'm going to knit front, back, front again, whoops, missed that front again. Let's try that again. Front again. Okay. Now I've got 5, but I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to slide them back to the other end and work across. Tighten up with that second stitch and work to the end. Stitches will be a little tight, that's okay, because you want a good dense fabric. And let me just knit a couple more times so you can see what it's going to look like. Again, just keep making sure to tighten up that working yarn as you're pulling it across the back. That is going to be key. Okay. And you can see it's getting larger here. And then if I were to keep working, it's going to pull that in to create the same I-cord shape. Now let's decrease out again. I'm going to slip 1, knit 2 together. You can do any decreases. That's just, this is the decrease I mostly used in the pattern. And now I'm back to my 3 stitches. And I'm going to keep working back and forth. Now I've got kind of a little bead, if you will, on my strand of I-cord. Just giving it a little bit of a decorative look. Okay, but on the opposite side, it looks the same. Nice. It's not as round, of course, it's flat, but you can still see there's no discernible beginning or end. Just looks like a little bead on the strand. So that is the technique that is used to make the icicles in the quote-unquote beaded garland, just working increases and decreases while maintaining that I-cord patterning. All right, and now we're going to talk about spiral garland and spiral I-cord. So for this one, we need 4 stitches. So this I-cord is not as round because you're using 4 stitches instead of 3. Oops, so we're going to cast on our 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And right away, we're going to slide those stitches back to the opposite end of the needle. And our first row, we're going to knit. And we're going to make sure we use our working yarn, not our tail end. Always important for any project, I-cord or otherwise. Okay. All right, so first row, knit. And when I'm doing I-cord, after I knit that first row, I like to just give the tail end a little tug to tighten everything up. We're going to slide back. Then we're going to repeat this row twice. We're going to knit 2, slip 1, knit 1. Okay, and then we're going to do that again. And we are still making sure that we pull that working yarn tightly across the back. And then the third one, we're going to knit all the stitches. And we're going to keep repeating those 3 rows. So rows 1 and 2 are knit 2, slip 1, knit 1. And row 3 is knit all. and let's see what's going to happen. All right, I've been working for a couple of inches now, and you can see that my I-cord is starting to spiral. So this will, as long as you maintain this pattern, continue to spiral around as you work. I will say that once it gets too long, the weight of the fabric can start to pull some of the spiral out a little bit. So if you're interested in making a spiral garland, I would suggest, rather than making one super long one, you probably want to make a few slightly shorter ones that you could maybe string together, wrap around each other to maintain that spiraling. All right, so again, knit 2, slip 1, knit 1 twice, and then knit that 3rd row, and you are going to get this fun spiraling garland or whatever else. You could just keep them short and add a loop on the top and make a little spiral, make them like a little spiral ornament for the tree as well. When it's time to block, I-cord in general doesn't need a whole lot of blocking. If you are using wool, you can wet block as normal. You don't want to stretch it out too much, but you might want to even out the stitches. If you are using a novelty yarn like this, I especially for the spiral recommend doing a steam block. And what you would want to do is curl your spiral up kind of loosely, kind of like this for the length of it. Just twirl it around and around, and then add the steam and let it sit. It's just going to give it a little bit of help to maintain that nice spirally shape. So all about I-cord, 2 kinds of I-cord today, a traditional and a spiral I-cord. All of these techniques can be used to make the garland and icicles in the pattern that is linked in the description box below. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Lots of great knitting content here on the channel. Next week's video is going to be a yarn review, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon in another video. Bye.